All right, it's 12:01. Let's go ahead and get this going. Welcome everybody to Intiva's Lunch and Learn for April 2023. I'm going to be your host again, Ted Brown, Director of Product Management here at Intiva. And today we're going to talk about Microsoft OneNote. This Lunch and Learn will be more of a demo-driven presentation here instead of going through a PowerPoint. So hopefully get some tips and tricks of how to use OneNote if you're not already using it today, and kind of show you how I use this on a daily basis. And I do find it a highly valuable application that I don't think a lot of people are taking advantage of as much as they potentially could in their organizations today. Like other lunch and learns, just a little housekeeping real quick. Please use the Q&A section for any and all questions, and I'll answer those questions at the end of the presentation. Also, please use the Q&A section if you had any different ideas for further lunch and learns that you want to learn more about. Always open to new ideas for lunch and learn opportunities that I can put into potentially Q3 or Q4 as we start planning those out. Okay, Microsoft OneNote. So for me, I think a little bit of history of Microsoft OneNote for me, how I've come to basically utilize this on a daily basis. About 5 or 6 years ago, I was asked my boss of how he's able to organize all the information he gets from the employees he was managing at the time. So had a handful of employees I was managing, and he was managing different facets of the organization, everyone coming with a whole bunch of questions and a whole bunch of to-dos. And I was trying to figure out, he's meeting with these people on a weekly basis. And if they're coming with as much information I'm presenting to him on a weekly basis, how is he keeping it all straight? So finally I asked him, like, how do you organize this? And he says, you should check out Microsoft OneNote. You can utilize this to take the notes that you're talking with your employees, kind of track information that's occurring with it. And then for the best part is being able to have historical tracking and look back to see what's occurred and easy searchable actions to go through there. So I took that to heart and started trying out with my employees. So as I start having my one-on-ones with employees and going through what they're utilizing on a day-to-day basis, some asks, some needs they need to put into place, instead of writing it down in a notepad or putting it somewhere else, I was putting it all into OneNote. It didn't take long to realize the power of the application at hand here. Instead of having all these notebooks all over the place and flipping through pages, I didn't have to really do anymore. I can really put some key searchable fields in there to search for things if I needed to, and easily look back on history of the information I was asking for. It really became, for me, a digital note-taking app. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's a single place that you can keep all the information that you're working on, regardless of for your employees. Potentially, you can use this at home as well if you want to have the honey-do list putting into your OneNote for your personal items there. So you can have a place for your notes, your research plans, any information there. Really anything you need to remember at work, at school, or at home life. With OneNote, you really not run out of paper at all or trying to figure out where your pads, you stored them all. It's all easily searchable for you, all in one location. And then you have the ability to find that information quickly, even if you forgot where it was by going back to that search fields. And for me, best of all, the notebooks of where this is placed within OneNote are all stored online. So you can easily get to them regardless of the device you're on. You can be on your Mac, you can be on your Word, you can be on your phone. You all have the capability of actually getting to that information that you stored right there so you can get access to that OneNote. So for me, all those combined makes this a really powerful application that is probably from after Outlook, probably the next application I'm using the most. And then for my next one is Excel. Really love Excel, but we'll get into that onto another lunch and learn. So for people that haven't used OneNote, I just want to kind of give you a baseline of how the organization structure is. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my OneNote here. And so this right here is the Microsoft version of OneNote. I also have the Mac version of OneNote, which has a little bit of different look. And I also have a version on my phone, which I'll show you in a little bit. So even though they look different, they function the same way. So let me jump back over to the Windows version of OneNote. So on the left-hand side, you have what's called the notebooks. Now, the notebooks is the collection of sections here at the top and pages. So when I think of notebooks, I want to think about what's the point of this notebook. Again, it's whatever you deem the organization structure for you, what you're trying to get across. But for me, I have one that's a personal notebook for me where I put all my personal information, maybe the meetings I'm obtaining, some information I'm trying to collect, but things I'm not going to want to share with anybody else. But I also have production departmental notebooks that I want to make sure that my team has access to, so they always can get to the same information. I know they can get access to it and put information into it. So that's how I kind of separate my OneNote notebooks based on the functionality that they're trying to obtain. After that, within each notebook, you have at the top here, you have your different sections of the OneNote application. So in this OneNote, this notebook, I have all these different sections, and I almost think of these as a file folder. You have a file folder, you put a name on here, taxes 2023, you file your taxes in there. Everything you want to put in there resides because it is in tax of 2023. Similar thing like this, I have all my production stuff. So I have all these meetings I've taken for all these different applications here, all in this one section. Now, within each section, you have on the right side here, the pages that are part of the section. Everything you put into that vanilla folder in the past are going into this page aspect within the sections. And then a really beneficial part as well is you can have different categories or sub pages within your sections as well. So you can see here, I have my Microsoft One, but I can also create additional pages. I'm going to add one right here and call this test 1, 2, 3. Error 1, 3. You can see here now it's a sub page of my Microsoft. I can easily actually left click and drag it around if I want to make it sub pages or not sub pages. So you can really make sure you can organize it in any fashion that you want. This is similar on the Mac as well. On the left-hand side right here, I have my one notebook right here that I'm in. Within that, on the left going down instead of at the top, I have where all my sections are. And then within my sections, I have that same page section right here that you had before. So I have all the same stuff that you saw on that side. So it all kind of correlates together. And since it's online, it all syncs together instantaneously. So once I start typing a note, it'll all start going through all the notebooks, regardless of the device, and you have access to it. So it's really handy in that fashion. So that's the overall structure of how it looks within OneNote itself. Now, the next piece of the puzzle, one slide over, sorry, is what I liked about it is it can be used as structured or unstructured data. Now, what I mean by that is when I used to take notes, I used to kind of scribble around. I didn't really have a structure to it. And this is not like Word, where Word really wants to make sure you work within the parameters of Word. I'm sure everyone on this webinar or Lunch and Learn has been in Word where you're trying to get to do one thing and it's wanting to do something else and you're battling back and forth with it. It's very frustrating. With OneNote, I find that you can actually make sure that it's put in the way you want to put in. So I can click in. I'm in my section demo. I'm in my page webinar. And so in this page webinar, I can start typing, hello, everyone. Now, I just start typing anywhere on the screen. I can click somewhere over here and go, hey, this is a great application. And now that I have these here, I can actually select on the highlighted parts here and move this around to different areas of the page I want, very simply trying to move it around. So it's kind of a nice, really unstructured way to put your information that makes sense to you, whatever note style you're taking or whatever meeting you're in, you can make it design how you want. You can also have the ability to make it more structured as well. And what I like to do for making more structures, I use a lot of tables when I'm doing my meetings or listening to presentations. And I find that very nice where I can come in here and go, oh, webinar or OneNote. And I'm going to use the tab. When I click tab, it's going to instantly start creating a table. So I click on tab. Now I start having a table. So in this table, maybe I want to have another header, or maybe I don't want another header. I'm just going to start taking some notes about what this is about. This is about OneNote. And when I click enter here, it goes down the level. So you can kind of keep some information in a nice categorized way. If you wanted to, you can go ahead and create something with multiple tabs if it makes sense for the meeting or whatever venue you're at. So this, let's go ahead and maybe call this, I don't know, product, date, technician, notes. And all I'm doing is clicking the tab button, tabbing it across, and it's creating more parts of the table. And I don't know, tab. And I'm going to click enter. And now as I start typing, I can click tab and go through, and it'll keep the same table structure all the way down. If I click enter again, it will figure that you're done with that table and stop that whole table right there. So I can really make this easy without having to go through and select insert table or things like that as you get used to the functionality of what type of buttons do what. So I use that tab feature a lot. You can easily come back in here if you needed to add more columns by right clicking and coming into the insert part, and you got tables, insert on the right, and it pops another tab here, column on this side. If you wanted to, if you don't want to use the actual keyboard shortcuts, you can insert a table. And I do like how they do this format table. Click on table. How do you want to do it? It gives you a nice way if you're actually designing a table. Do you want it 9x4, 6x2? I'm just moving the mouse around, not clicking on anything. Let's go ahead and click a 7x6, and it'll drag a 7x6 table straight to that location. So it's a really easy way to make it more of a structured way of taking information in an unstructured format. And then from there, if I want to move things around, I can do it really easily to move things around. So you have the capability of creating a OneNote section here, a page that makes sense for you. And just kind of jump in here. I'm sure I have a couple here. As I'm taking notes with different companies, I can look down to my past history as I'm going through. Here's some information I have on the right side, put some bullet points on that. And then I was taking pictures of the presentation to pop in here. So I can easily take pictures and pop it in to what's happening with that presentation there. So I can look back on this many, many months from now, or potentially many years, about what happened with that demo I had and get information pretty quickly what's going on. So once I start seeing the power of this, of utilize this on a daily basis, I was able to utilize this and put it into a format that made sense for me and organized in a fashion for that one notebook. Again, it really depends on what type of information structure you're building. For Intiva, we create separate notebooks and separate ways of putting into SharePoint of having to do like process plans. So within SharePoint, we have everyone has their own one notebook that can put in how you do potential processes within your department or organization that anybody can kind of go in there and take a look at. And it's all controlled by OneNote. Very powerful. The other thing you can do is you can actually create Word documents and pop them in here with links and share it out that direction, which is very handy, which I'll show at near the end of this presentation. So now that we've covered structured and structured data, one thing I like to do is group sections that I actually probably need to take more advantage of. So when I say group sections, as I mentioned, you have your notebook contains a whole bunch of different sections. So I have my drop down here. You see all these different sections that I've had there. Now, maybe I don't need to have all these sections. Maybe there's some sections that work better together as a group. So what you can do is you can right click in here and say new groups, new selection group. So I'm going to select that. You can see here down at the bottom, it presents me with a name, demo group. Click enter. And when I click enter and then click on this down arrow and come down to my demo group, what's going to happen is it's going to make all those sections I had at the top disappear. Like it's almost its own one notebook. However, it's in the same notebook, just in a separate group. So it kind of makes it so it's categorized by itself. I could add more sections here. Again, demo one. Hello. And you can see here that created my page over here. Or maybe I have some tabs or sections in here that should go over there. So I can come in here and maybe this section right here is something that should have been added to it. I can right click on a different section, click on move or copy, and then change the location of where it should go. So it can all go into that location in that way. Now, it would present itself right down into this demo group right there. So it's a good way to make sure that you're categorizing things appropriately and putting things into certain locations that you have that make sense to the organization structure of that one notebook. The beneficial part of this is it automatically syncs into OneDrive and Teams. And so you can see that if you wanted to by clicking on File at the top, and it tells you that the one notebooks that you have open at the time. If you want to open different notebooks, you can click this open button here and navigate to wherever that notebook is saved. But if you come back into the info button here, you can see these are the ones I currently have open. Click on sync status. You can see here, these are all up to date with the most recent information, except for I think one right here that's not updating anymore because it's an old one. It's not available anymore. So if I want to, I can click sync now if I thought maybe they weren't all synced up. But this makes sure you can always take an idea to make sure it's all synced between all your devices and up into online. After that, there's this product called ability to use dictate and transcribe speech. So this one right here, let's go ahead. I'm going to add a new page, demo one. And so for this, I'm going to go ahead at the top of my window up here. I have dictate. I'm going to click dictate. This really here is going to create a way to create your voice straight to text within your OneNote. I have not trained this dictation. This is not like going through Dragon or one of the off-the-shelf dictation software you can build. And instantly it's taking my voice and putting it straight to paper. Actually, what I find even more impressive in this, I'm utilizing right now, what you're seeing here is actually occurring all in Azure Virtual Desktop. So my voice is happening from my Mac through the internet to Azure Virtual Desktop and then dictating it here right into this OneNote. And if I look back on this, it's actually doing a fantastic job without any training of getting most of my words correct, probably better than what I've been able to type it as quickly as this and then go back and change all those mistakes I've spelled, because you guys see me through Lunch and Learn mistakes all over the place with spelling. This actually does a fantastic job. I haven't used this too much in my past, but actually doing a demo and testing this out, I do think this is something I'm going to put into my daily use of actually when I'm taking OneNotes to make sure that I have everything in place. Now, period. You can see here, you can actually put in the actual punctuation if you needed to, period. And then it adds it in perfectly. So if you're watching that on the screen, it's actually been pretty impressive how it works. And once you get done, you can click this done arrow right here, the stop dictation. And now I have everything I just talked to you about with dictation straight into this OneNote right here. So I can look back on, searchable, actionable if I need to. So it's a great way to make sure to take quick notes straight from your voice using dictation. Dictation is also available on a whole bunch of other Microsoft products right now, Word, Outlook. If you haven't taken advantage of it, do highly suggest trying it. It's pretty impressive what it can do today. The next one here I have is pre-built templates, or you can create some new templates. Now with pre-built templates, it gives the ability to have a pre-built structure to what you're doing for your notes. So I'm going to click add a new page, and I'm going to click on insert at the top, and then you see page templates. When you see page templates, you're going to click the bottom one, all the ones you have here, and on the right side, it's going to give you all the pre-built templates they have. They have ones for academic, blank, business. I'm going to click on the business one because there's a couple in here I find is neat. If you want to, maybe you have a project overview you're planning for or going to start talking about. I'm going to click on the project overview, and it's going to instantly build out a project overview OneNote template. And then from here, I can pop in here and start editing it like it was a form I already had built out, project one. And then down there, and I can add in more information, click enter. You can see here, it's keeping the same structure it had before. So it gives you kind of a nice little format for what this OneNote task could have been if you want to use it for the project overview. The one I do use it for and like using is the detailed note format. So let me add another page. I'm going to call it meeting. And I'm going to click on the detailed meeting notes right here. And it bops in here going, hey, meeting details, date and time today, location, wherever it was. And then who's attending it? What's the announcements? What's the summary? What's the next status that's going to be? You can utilize this for your departmental meetings, and then you can start creating a structure underneath it. So you can start creating, hey, maybe a tab here. You can say, hey, this is the April 19th meeting. 19th meeting. And then the next one, the subcategory could be whatever the next date. And then from each one, you can start putting in the detailed meeting notes. And so it's ready to go. Slide it across, change the meeting title, and May 20th. And you can see here, it's an easy way to get your pre-built template structures out there for the type of meeting you're going to run or the type of OneNote you want to take without taking the time to format it yourself. Now, if you find yourself building a similar type of template each time, you can also save your current page here at the bottom as a template, so you can build your own if necessary. But I highly suggest taking a look at the ones that are pre-built out there. They're very handy to use. The next one here is copy files to OneNote. So you have the ability to actually take files you worked on in Excel, Word, Visio, or something along those lines and put it into the OneNote structure itself. So I'm going to add a new page here, and then I am going to open up a demo folder, which I had before. So here's some old demos from probably think when we're doing some syncing back and forth for showing how to use OneDrive and Teams. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this up here, bring it across, drag it over, and drop it in. Now, when I drop it in, I have two options. I want to attach as a file. So if I attach it as a file, you can see here, it just dropped that file right there. So I can open this up, and it'll open that file up for that location. So when I save this, send this out to somebody or someone else is accessing this document, they'll have access to this Hello Apps document I have created right here. It's actually, if you see at the top here, it relates to my last webinar I did, the Lunch and Learn, you can see here this file is being verified by Microsoft Defender Advanced Threat Protection. I couldn't make any edits while I was validating. There's no malicious activities going on. So kind of a callback to my last lunch and learn. It does take a look at this as you're working in OneNote and things like that, Word, that you would not have the ability from other past antivirus solutions because you use an advanced threat protection Office Defender for 365 P1. So kind of a callback out to my last lunch and learn. But now that I have the ability to edit, I can edit this and have actionable items. I can save it again, save it, now off it goes. So that is kind of nice if I want to keep it a separate file within it, but maybe there's opportunities where you want to have the information that's within the file brought over. So let me do that again. I am going to, well, maybe I'll use the Excel document. I'm going to drag this Excel document up. And it's going to ask me the same thing. I'm going to import this as a spreadsheet. So when I import this as a spreadsheet, it imports all the information I had there as a spreadsheet. Granted, it just says test a bunch of times, a hello, but it has the ability to take any information you had that was on that sheet and directly import it into OneNote. Very handy. I do use this. It's for me, I like it when I'm building up how-tos or maybe department processes where I can actually drag the information over and then pop it straight into OneNote so it's always there and people have actionable actions from that OneNote itself. In the same vein, you can actually do this with Outlook. You can copy messages to OneNote as well. So for that, let's go ahead and add another page. Outlook, that's one. Let me bring up my Outlook here, drag this over. So for some reason, this is something in Outlook that I want to save over there. So you have a couple ways to do it. One, you can do it in the same fashion. I'm going to go ahead and just drag this over. Let go of it. I can attach it as a file. Does the same thing. You can see here, this is now an Outlook file in there. I double F click on it. It would open up that email that was sent to me. But what I like to use this for is actually copy this over again, drop it in, and then insert the printout. When I insert the printout, it will take exactly the written aspect of what that email is and drop it right into my OneNote structure. So again, this is just kind of a call out from Outlook, but this might be a informational sent to you from a vendor or something like that, or maybe someone sent you kind of a, here's a new process guide for what needs to happen with XYZ process. You can take that email and just drag it straight over and it'll put all the information there right into your OneNote section. So very handy to use. I do use this feature quite often. The next one I have here is the use quick note. Now the use quick note is more along the lines if you're busy as all we are. We're in meetings, taking phone calls, doing things on a daily basis, but you have that idea for some action to occur. Now to take use of the quick note, you can either in your section here in the task tray down here, you have your OneNote section. You can right click and you can say take a new quick note. You can also see the Windows key function. Windows Alt N. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, the Windows Alt N, and it's going to present to me with a small little note taking here. This will be a great idea. And again, if I spelled it correctly, put it in there. This will be a great idea. Close it out. Don't need to save it. So then when I can go back to it, go, hey, I did have some of those good ideas. Now, where are they? So within the OneNote section here, you do have multiple sections. You do have your quick notes location that will take all these brilliant ideas you had on the fly and pop them right in there. So you have access to see it. You also, if you had this pinned here for your OneNote section, you see here you have, I unpinned this or pinned it so I can actually see all the notebooks I have available. There's a quick access to it on the quick notes here. So I could have been in demo, taken my little quick note, then click this quick note. It will instantly pop up that section called quick notes and have all that information right there. So you have the ability to put information you're thinking on the fly, pop it in there and go. Again, I do find some of this is getting used to like the quick keys. That way you're not right clicking somewhere else and going Windows Alt N, boom, pop up a new note to take and off you go to make sure that you don't forget that idea you had after you get busy doing a whole bunch of different things you do on a daily basis. Next one, we have share your notebook. So just because you work on a notebook, it doesn't necessarily mean it's just for you. Maybe you want to have this be available to other people. Now, I personally don't like sharing my personal notebook because I want to put things in here that maybe stretch across different vast arrays of activities. Maybe some ideas in here might just be personal to me from my family, or hey, something for employees. So again, if it makes sense to share out your personal one, definitely can do it. But you can create other notebooks out there. And then when you create other notebooks out there, you have multiple ways to share. On the right side at the top, you see share. You can click on share, share entire notebook. Now it's doing exactly that. It's going to share every single thing, every single section, every single group section, and all the pages you have in there. When you do this, it goes right into that same ability to share and create the structure, how people have access to see it. Do they want to have the ability to edit that OneNote? Maybe you want to have them have the edit, or maybe you want to say these people can only view what needs to occur in there. So again, how you want them to action or participate within the OneNote section as well. Let's just say though, you have this great OneNote, OneNote you want to share with everyone, notebook you want to share with everybody, but there is a section that you only have a subset of those people to look at. You can password protect sections within a notebook. So maybe I want to have this product section be password protected. So if I right click on the tab itself, the section, I can come in here and click on password protect this section. And on the right side here, again, it says me set the password. So anyone that has that password can access that section. Anybody that does not can't access. So it's a way to make sure to maybe secure aspects of that notebook that you're trying to share out to everybody. So you can go down that direction. You do also have the ability to share it from the file share as right here, file share. Same functionality pops up here as well. So the same things you get in the right-hand corner. And lastly, if you wanted to, maybe there's a section or a page that you want to share out, you can share just one page out as well. Hit the share button, email, copy a page, hit that. And on my screen here, it just brought in that section that I want to share. So maybe if, hey, this is a vendor that I thought might be interested to other people in my department, I can quickly share that page and off they go, send that information out without having to do the copy paste. So ways to take quick action because of the integration all these applications have together. So try to see what works for you, see what you utilize, but try to take a look at what kind of the integration has to make your daily life a little bit easier, a little faster, so you can get to the main information you're trying to do on a daily basis. That gets through that section. Next, you can use the draw feature. I personally don't use this feature too much. I don't really have a tablet I travel with or anything like that, but I do see this when I go to some seminars or some in-person webinars. Do see people utilizing the draw feature for OneNote that you can take advantage of. So I'll just show you that real quick. And click on know that, go back to my demo section, add draw test. So when you have your page you want to utilize, you can click on the draw here at the top, and it'll give you some different information here about what you want, tools you want to use. Now, I do believe this will be much easier with a stylus than utilizing my mouse right here. So here, this is, I don't need to spell it out, test. So you do have the capability of utilizing a stylus, and I think it'd be easier to imagine this on more of a tablet, working through, saving the notes, and go in that direction. Again, I don't utilize this, but I think a lot of people out there would potentially use this if they had the correct tools to utilize and go down that direction. Next one we have here is the try out task to Outlook for to-dos, and I do find this one kind of handy here. Sorry about that. Now, the one here for the task to-dos, click on here. Click on to-dos, get out of the drawing. This is a test for to-dos. And what I mean by this will show integration between this and Outlook. So imagine if you have OneNote to kind of track in what you want to do on a daily basis. What I want to do today, I want to practice my lunch and learn. That, and then I want to do my lunch and test product, and then callbacks. So I can actually build out what my day planner might want to do, now what I want it to look like, and then I can come in here, highlight all this information, click on my home button, and I want to go ahead and set these all as tasks within my Outlook. So I track it. I can click this task when I want all these to be completed. I want all these to be completed today. I click on this. You can instantly see here, it puts a flag next to it. So now I'm going to jump into my Outlook, pop in here to my tasks, have a handful of tasks, And you can see here, practice my lunch and learn, lunch, test products, callback, instantly pops it in there. So you have the ability to utilize these two applications back and forth, creating your to-dos, making sure you're actionable, making sure you're taking care of things and checking them off your list. So I do like to use this one. I do find this pretty handy, especially if you like to plan out your day the day before, that morning after, the morning as you go into it, to make sure you're taking care of all the big information, the big tasks you need to get done for that day. Next, you can actually use tags and searches, sort of in the same vein of how I just did this right here with my to-dos. As you go through, maybe here, I think a good idea would be, let's go ahead in the same meeting. Let's say you're taking a meeting and you want to, you're doing your goals. So let's see here, Q1 rocks. What are the big things I need to actually complete, complete in the month in Q1. So I'm going to say task 2, task 1, task 2, task 3. And then what I want my goals to be for Q2. Q2 goals 1, 2, 3. So I can utilize tags, and the advantage of utilizing tags is you can be searchable within the actual OneNote itself. So I'm going to select these tasks right here. I'm going to come up into home. I was already there, but you can see here you have different tags, to-dos, important. I can click this drop down and have all these different tags I can assign to different information within my OneNote page I'm working on. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and say these tasks were a to-do items. And maybe since there are rocks, which are very important, these were important to do. And you can see also they have on here control 1, control 2. So I could have actually wanted to have created different ones here, test. And it's use control 1 to make it a actual to do, control 2, and make it important. So again, get used to the keyboard shortcuts so you're not having to go back and forth to actually make sure it works to your advantage. For the goals right here, maybe these are, let's see, different ideas here. These were questions, things that need to get done. Let's go ahead and say these were important again. And maybe I did have a question in there for number 3. And I'm going to add a question to number 3. Now, the important part about this, which makes this great, is I can utilize my find tags. I click that button right there, and this is going to search to find all the different tags I've used in the entire my notebook itself. You can see here, search all notebooks. Look for anything that's important. Look for anything that is a to-do and find things that are out there. So go ahead and categorizes everything. If I want to take that search and maybe shrink it down, I have different ways. Maybe these were just notes taken yesterday, or maybe I only want this to be information for this notebook itself, or within this section to find what's there. So it's a good way to utilize these tags so you can search back on it and make sure they're actionable. Again, when you're talking to, maybe use this when you're talking to employees, you create the tasks in there, and then you can take a look back about the task to ask back for them. It's find it easy, searchable, and go through it. So again, as you start getting used to these tags, it's a good way to maybe organize and fashion out there. And again, start using the keyboard shortcuts, because I do find that very handy. Control 1, control 2. And once you get used to it, it'll save some time. Couple more to here. You can change the style of paper. I personally like seeing it in this unstructured format, so I can go wherever I want, but I do know some people like to see it more in a page layout. So you can click on the insert here and then click on your page templates and then drop information in here of how you want. Oh, the template, sorry. Insert your page layout, sorry, view page rule lines. Click on this and you can actually add in page rule lines here. I'm sorry, I'll bring up another one, test rule lines. And so you can make it look more like a notebook feature if you're on this. So it looks like something you worked on in school, if that makes sense. So you can actually see the lines as you're working through it. Or you can maybe want to make it more of a grid line aspect. So again, capabilities of making a view to make sure it works for you, how you want to go forward. I personally like utilizing the blank one so I can have it look however I want. Now we're about to run out of time, but one of the things that I really like about OneNote is when I travel. When I travel to different seminars or webinars, I do work off of different devices, and I'm going to these big open seminars where the person's up on stage presenting some information, and I want to make sure I categorize the information correctly and take pictures of what maybe they're presenting on screen. So I do find the use of OneNote in that fashion to work flawlessly, and I'll show you that. So imagine yourself at a webinar and you have your computer. I'm going to work off my Mac on this one. So let me come over to my Mac and I'm going to go to my demo. And here I am in my webinar. So I have my webinar up going right now, and I'm going to bring my phone. So I have somebody presenting up on stage. And this is a presentation. And so this is a presentation going on. So I'm going to bring over my phone. They have something presented up on the screen that I want to actually take a picture of. So I'm going to open up the app on my phone. You're seeing a picture of my phone right now. So I'm in my webinar that I have up on my phone. And let's just say they have something presenting up there. So I'm going to click enter here a couple times. And I'm going to hit this button at the bottom, which you can see here, take a picture. And it's going to bring up my camera. And come on, coming up. There you go. Sorry, it's not as fast when you do this through a screen capture. It'll get there. All right. So what I like about this feature is you can see that box that's appearing around the screen I'm trying to take a picture of here. So sometimes you're never in front of the actual presenter itself. You're off to the corner and things like that, but you want to get a good picture of it. So I'm going to grab the picture, take a screenshot of it. And it's going to ask me, you're going to see a box here appear in a second. Come on. Confirm. Sorry, it's a little bit of a lag when we're doing this through a presentation, but I took a picture right there. And that's how it came through. So it almost got the exact same dynamics in making an actual shape of a picture, like a straight in front of you. I'm going to click on done. And when I click on done, it's going to pop it into my OneNote. And so I could be in my OneNote on my computer here, and you can see here, it just popped it into my screen as I'm going. So I can say there's a presentation, get to know your OneNote, and take some information while that person's talking up there. It's all quick, all easy. It took a little bit of a long time just because of the delay on how I'm trying to show you it working through my phone here. But I can take some quick pictures and get the information in here what they're trying to present to us, without having to get the slide deck later, because I know I have never read the slide deck later. I'm always going back to the information I'm taking at that moment in time. So I do find it very helpful and make sure that I'm capturing the information that I'm being given at that moment in time. It's fantastic. Highly suggest checking it out. And I think that is about all we have to discuss today. So that's been my story with OneNote. I do recommend trying it out if you're not utilizing it today. I do think it will help save you time, categorize all the information correctly, and then try it out with your departments. Maybe see what works. Just because I have things organized in one fashion doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But I do think there's a workflow you come up with yourself to help save your time, find that information you're trying to find, and make sure all the information you're gaining or obtaining on a daily basis is not lost and always maintained in one location available from all devices. So I think that's the end of our presentation. Let's see if we have any questions today.